Hi there, my name is Bree and I'm a product manager here at Atlassian. Before we get into the topic of alignment at scale, I'd love to start with a story. So once upon a time, there was a hapless product manager. She led a bunch of super sharp, deeply engaged teams. Everyone had the absolute best of intentions and they wanted to deliver meaningful customer value through their work. They moved really fast to do it. But at times, teams were moving fast in the wrong direction. Our product manager felt like she was running around saying the same things over and over. She felt like she wasn't getting through. She was getting pretty frustrated. So what was going wrong? Hi, I'm the product manager. It's me. The problem was that these priorities were documented in places that aren't really top of mind on a day-to-day basis. There were presentations that I agonized over and I did in town halls. There was super detailed, full of analysis Confluence pages that I'd written up and I'd shared, and I'd made looms and I'd shared them in Slack. And it wasn't wrong, but it just wasn't enough. Because people are gonna people. They forget, they've got busy lives, they've got their own work to do. I needed a way to make sure that this super important context was also easy to find and, well, just kind of in everyone's face all the time. So, long story short, goals are the secret sauce to alignment, up and down and across a company. And this is probably not news to many of you, but goals need to not only live on a Confluence page, in a slide deck or in Loom recordings. They need to be everywhere that people work. Today, I'll explain some of the tips and tricks to support alignment at scale by unlocking goals in your work stack, and how you can use Atlas, Jira Product Discovery, and Jira Software to make sure that your teams are all on the same page about what's most important for your customers and for your business. You'll learn how to make goals visible, including progress, how to prioritize by goal and why your team should be deeply involved in this process, and lastly, how to make sure that your team's precious efforts are being spent on your highest priority work. But before you can unlock goals in your work stack, you've got to get some goals in place, or at least pull them out of that slide deck that you last updated a few quarters ago. And before we talk about the how, I want to share some of the common missteps that we see when people are crafting goals. The first is that goals are set in a vacuum. They're done entirely by leadership. And look, I'm a pragmatist. This is often how it rolls. But people are curious. And when goals are set and handed down with a little explanation or just a one-off, then there's not much for teams to work with, to internalize and be inspired by. It's such a huge missed opportunity. Second, goals are focused on the output. We need to try lots of things, find out what works, and invest more in the areas that show some promise. Delivering a thing is not when the work ends, it's actually when the work starts. And goals are not prioritized. Trade-offs are everywhere, and it's impossible to make them when everything appears as important as everything else. So, how do we do it differently? First, make goals visible and accessible for everyone. If we consider people to be the heart of an organization, then goals are your heartbeat and what keeps them moving. Keep that blood pumping and share your goals widely. Goals should measure outcomes. People are creative problem solvers. Show them where you want to go instead of describing the path one little stepping stone at a time. And lastly, when goals are prioritized, and teams can make their own trade-off decisions. You don't even need to get involved. They can move faster because there's full context of what's most important to be achieved and why. And in Atlas, all of this is possible. Capture and codify your goals, including relevant context, owners, and also the target date that you're shooting for. So we've got our goals. They're documented and they're living and breathing, and they're ready for us to now bring into our decision making. But what are we actually going to do? We're going to capture ideas, the good, mediocre, and downright terrible, and do it all through the lens of our goals. Those who are working with customers, who are closest to the code base or whatever the coalface means to you, have got some pretty wicked ideas. Get your teams involved in this process. Leverage their knowledge and also the context that you've shared about why you've chosen the goals that you have. When teams are inspired by the goal, when they understand it, when they've been brought into the process, you've just unlocked that next level of alignment. And in Jira Product Discovery, ideas can be linked to a goal. And the linking, while pretty simple, is a really positive forcing function. It encourages people to think through an idea. And how could it help the goal? Is it just something cool that I've wanted to do for a while, or will it actually help? How confident am I, really? Do I have any other data to already support my idea? And every function should be welcome to participate in this process if they want. We've got our goals, we've prioritized opportunities against the goals, and teams are now really starting to work together to bring these ideas to life. Often, this is when things can really start to wobble. So let's see how the final piece of the puzzle, Jira software, can help to maintain alignment across multiple teams, even as things start to get a little bit tricky. It's at this point in time when work can really start to disintegrate into team silos. But when teams are working toward a shared goal or even contributing to the same piece of work, then it's critical that progress, trade-offs, and risks are all viewed through the lens of the overall work to be done. There's no time for, we finished our part. We want to turn this into teams thinking about how we can help to get it all done together. And using issue hierarchy to talk about higher level work items, initiatives, epics, features, whatever you want to call them, it keeps teams on the same page. And using plans in Jira Software Premium, you can bring together the work of many teams into a single view. There's flexible levels of hierarchy, so the status of work can be visually elevated across teams. And as soon as you have a delivery plan, though, you can pretty much guarantee that it's probably going to be out of date. And we know that dependency management is kryptonite for most organizations. So through the lens of your most important pieces of work, as scope changes and the teams learn new things, you can understand the knock-on effect of trade-off decisions and then manage those dependencies before they become an active risk to the outcome that you're trying to drive. We've covered how you can use goals, the secret sauce, to drive alignment across teams on what's most important for your product strategy, what you'll prioritize, and how you'll execute. In reality, though, we know this is not a linear process. It's messy, and it actually looks a little bit more like this, and even this is oversimplifying. To close the loop, there are a few more steps which are essential. As your teams start to make progress towards their goals, executing towards them, there'll be things that go well and there will be things that go less well. Share these learnings liberally. How's progress going towards your goal? Share the wins, and you can do all of this in Atlas. Most importantly, though, adapt your plan with these learnings in mind. And then keep going. I'd love for you to remember 3 things. Goals are the secret sauce to unite teams, but you've got to share what they are and the why behind them. Empower teams closest to your customer to know how to achieve the goal and prioritize work together. And as the work comes to life, bust team silos by visualizing and tracking progress and risks using hierarchy. Thank you very much.